You love to see your faves in a creative renaissance. As you'll see me talk more about next month between joint and solo ventures, Aesop Rock has really been on a word-spinning creative odyssey. With a new cosmic market on the horizon and Black Hole Superette, I figured I'd take a stab at talking about his last album, Integrated Tech Solutions, within the context of his discography. Something that I've done, admittedly, a handful of times at this point, and it's become a bit of a tricky thing. You see, his bar is still so very high. Yet in the same breath, he's still upping his own ante. And on ITS, he took the blendings of personal reflection with a world he's been building that were at the core of his now 7th best album, Spirit World Field Guide, and put a sinister underbelly underneath it that I absolutely love. I still really enjoy spinning Spirit World Field Guide, but again, it's still not as tight as other records that I put above it in the rankings, like the Blockhead Garbology collab and his now 5th best album, Skeleton. 2 albums that really showcase how great Aesop is at mood building, but with this newest in the rear view, I love how it shows that even in his 4th decade doing this, he's still finding ways to evolve. ITS is something more complex altogether. It's a big reason I've pushed this video back. It was supposed to come out back in like March. Going into it, I figured it'd land above Garbology. I just wasn't sure if its nuance in production and how sort of dense this sonic palette really harmonizes with its themes, some of which involve nostalgia, would surpass my now cemented nostalgia for Skeleton. The thing is, that aforementioned darkness under the surface between the lines of ITS really put it in this world that I think when Ace goes the distance with, he takes it past the horizons. That paired with a great theme and sonic palette that further enriches the themes, coalesce into an experience that I think is the new 4th best in his catalog. The art has this very formal look, and I love that the album starts with that formality. It has a very nostalgic feeling production that does feel in line with pockets of where this record sits lyrically, that adds to the overall pie that is this project. The ITS program may have some cynical edges in its lyrics, like the societal deconstruction on Infinity Field Goose Down, or in parts of the Desires for Youth within the fantastic collab with Billy Woods, Living Curfew, where both rappers talk about memories and feelings of Nightfall. It's a great showcasing of both rappers' very visually compelling lyrical style. Some of that unease in the night that comes back even more on Aggressive Steven, where Aesop in Poetic details a night where his apartment was broken into while he was stoned. You feel his frustration with the situation when he just comes to the
who the fuck is fucking Steven? Y'all seem to know some shit I ain't exactly need him.
Paired with such a good bass-driven atmosphere, Ace just puts you in the apartment with them. Forward-compatible engine might see Rob Sonic bridging places from the spirit world into this technical marvel, but even has a great and more wild but bleak twist within its hook. Don't get me wrong, the more optimistic flashes are a lovely pivot whenever they crop up too. The meeting of an icon like Mr. T as a child on 100 Feet Tall provides a look into fan ideology in retrospective that I think culminates to a well-told cute story, while also acting as a contrast to some of the inverses of that celebrity perspective, like what is seen on some of the lines within the artistic reflections on Failure, or throughout the back pain-filled An interestingly written cut, where I think, true to his strengths, gives the listener a well-penned dive into the stance of being sidelined by injury, making you feel even older in the process. The chopped up salt and pepper sample adds to the inner monologue dreariness that also enriches that nostalgic edge I really dig about this album. That same mood being brought into the more darker underbelly of the cult adjacent themes that this album is dancing in on the song Time Moves Differently Here. A song where he seemingly creates the ultimate throwback meal with this gluttonous edge. The moments where Ace looks back by giving tributes to Camuteo on By the River and his grandmother on Vititus show that same very personal touch that I'd love to see him go deeper on throughout records like The Impossible Kid, but also present 2 very different ways to approach those tributes that both feel touching. They feel aimed to be in the spirit of both figures in a sense. if you want to look at his excellence in word choice and word usage, look no farther than the also very detail-filled Pigeonometry, a song that sees Aesop getting niche with it, but in a way that combats all the stresses in the world with a hook that feels so purposely crafted.
Bone wallet, coffee keys later. I'm headed for the beyond. I'ma need a ceasefire.
The few other criminal tangents both feel like an interesting planting and payoff moment while bringing a rounding out of the mood that helped tie the album together. Kyanite Toothpick has the same vibe that I've loved from Ace in the past on tracks like Zero Dark 30 and One Brick. He and Hani Al-Khatib trade these bars with a competitive chemistry that I think adds a great energy to where it is on the album. Solid Gold more acts like another notch in the belt of Aesop songs where he gets detailed with it and gives this character breakdown and what's driving this robbery. I think it comes in after On Failure like butter, too. One note I want to make before sending this off is what I think sets it above Spirit World especially is how well sequenced the album is. The movement track to track is smooth, and even if it sits longer than his last few albums, he bridges and blends these ideas together with such harmony that it's continued to grow on me over the last few years more and more. I gave it an 8 in the 2023 listening log, and I personally bumped it up to a 9. It really is intelligent, tactical spitting at its finest. And actually, I lied. One more tangent I want to go on that I feel is more important, because if it isn't obvious, I like Spirit World Field Guide, but it doesn't really rank amongst my favorite Aesop Rock records. Skeleton, however, very much does. It is a record that I still probably have more mileage on it than even like records above it in the rankings like The Impossible Kid. The instrumental palette of this album is incredible. It sort of was around during a very pivotal point in my life and helped sort of carry me through some wild times. It's a record that I have a lot of nostalgia for, and I think that as far as Ace crafting a mood while getting niche with it, it is a perfect cocktail of that.
Blue in the menacing grip of a neighbor with shore manifestly unfit.
I just really think, especially considering where Ace has taken his sound since these, roots you could see throughout Skeleton, he's just found a way to create stories both personal and otherworldly. And I love that he can really pull all of it together to culminate to a listening experience that also has its own nostalgic edges. Something that, like, Skeleton at this point has become for me, but, like, hearing Salt and Pepper Squid, the beat on that song is insane, and I think that the sample choice on that is choice as hell. It adds to the paranoia on Aggressive Steven, the electronic edge beneath tracks like Living Curfew, and the low-key warp tones on Time Moves Differently here, or where the world around these tangents and sort of tributes paid sort of gets bridged together. I think that the production on here is sort of along the same path that, again, he sort of started with the dreary ideas on Skeleton and really sort of went into some cool realms on Spirit World Field Guide. I think that he really elevated it to another level on here, and it helps, again, just further weave this basket of ideas together beautifully, in my opinion. That being said, those are my thoughts on ITS within the context of Aesop Rock's discography. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Are you excited for Black Hole Superset? Do you think it's going to be good? I've loved the singles from it. I think that he's creating another just magnificent spin. I really can't wait to hear it in full. He's just, again, a fave of mine in a creative renaissance, and I love to see him thriving in his own niche way. But thank you for watching this. If you liked it, give it a like. If you want to see more, consider subscribing. I drop 2 to 4 vids a week, depending on what I've got going on. I've got the finale of Yu-Gi-Oh! Dropping this weekend. It has been a fun time to pull together. Sort of, actually. That was meant to be sarcastic, but no, it's been okay. Thank you for also just sticking around. I've been Valorek. You guys are good days, lots of situations, and I'll see you another day.